In today's Myth Busting Monday, we're going to talk about the myths that I believed and the mistakes I wish I didn't make when I first started out with my fitness journey. Hey everybody, it's Farhad here from Fit with Farhad, and in today's video what we're going to do is we're going to do something a little bit different to the usual Myth Busting Monday, in that I'm going to share with you the 6 mistakes I wish I didn't make when I first started my fitness journey, and the myths that I believed and I wish I didn't believe them, and I'm going to debunk them today. Now before we get started, make sure that if you haven't already done so, subscribe to my channel and click that bell notification, because I'm putting out a lot of content right now. I don't want you to miss a single one. So at any time in this video where you feel that you've got value from me, click that like button, hit that subscribe and bell notification. So let's get cracking on with this video, shall we? So before we even get started on the mistakes that I made, I want to show you basically where I was at the beginning of my fitness journey. So this was me, believe it or not. I know what you're thinking, handsome dude. Anyway, no. I was at that point around 17, I was around 80 kilograms in weight, and that was quite heavy. And at that point, I mean, if you haven't heard my story already, what prompted me to lose weight and get fit, then put a comment below if you want to know the story, and I'll share it with you in a future video. But I basically decided at that point enough was enough. I wanted to get fit, I wanted to lose weight, so I started doing what I thought was right, but ultimately found out I made too many mistakes along the way, which I'm still paying for today, believe it or not. So this is what I want to go through, the 6 top mistakes that I made starting out my fitness journey that I don't want you to make. So mistake number 1, the first thing I did when I decided to lose weight was I started to do cardio. Now there's nothing wrong with doing cardio to lose weight, but if that's your focus, if that's all you're doing, then it's going to spell a recipe for disaster, because you're going to start losing muscle mass, especially if you're in a calorie deficit that I was in. And I was in quite an aggressive calorie deficit, and we're going to come to that in a moment. Now, when you want to start out with a weight loss journey or a fat loss journey, you have to incorporate strength training. Now, to my credit, I did do that. I did buy a weight set from Argos, but I didn't focus on it. I didn't know what I was doing with weights. So when you start off with a fat loss, weight loss journey, whilst cardio plays a part in it, you want to make sure that you are resistance training and strength training to preserve as much muscle tissue as possible, and even build some muscle tissue so that you've got good joint health, you've got good physique, and you're not losing the wrong type of weight when you hit those scales, because the last thing you want to do is end up baggy. When you lose all that weight but your skin doesn't stretch back in place because you've lost too much weight, you end up with baggy, saggy skin, which is what I ended up with, and I'm still paying for today. Okay, myth number 2, dropping your calories too low. Now, this is the thing that I did. When I first started out with weight loss, I was brought into that myth that less is more. In other words, the less calories you eat, the more you're going to lose weight. And I was very aggressive with my fat loss. And I did lose a lot of body fat, but I probably lost too much muscle mass as well. And I lost so much weight too quickly, it was quite unhealthy. So I don't want that for you. A safe amount of weight to lose is 1 to 2 to maybe 3 pounds a week. And guess what? It will start slowing down and stalling as the months progress. But there are things you can do to kickstart your fat loss and weight loss progression, which we can talk about in another video. Myth number 3, I went on a low-fat diet. Now, when I went on a low-fat diet at the time, this was before Google, it was before the internet, before everything was really popular, and it was before things were really out in the open. I went on what I thought was the right diet. It was a low-fat, high-carb diet. So I basically was eating loads of pasta every day, thinking that that was healthy, thinking that was low-fat, thinking that that was going to help me lose weight. I was on a 60 to 80% carbohydrate diet macro-wise, which isn't the best diet to go on. At the time, I was naive. I didn't know what I was doing. There was no advice for me until I met somebody who started teaching me a little bit about nutrition. He was my first coach, Marcus, and Marcus taught me that it was important to get protein, and so I started upping my protein. But at that point, I was scared of eating fat, so I had a very, very low fat diet. In fact, I was probably about 10, maybe 15% fat at the time. And I was eliminating the good fats out of my diet because of this. And because I was not getting the good fats, the EPAs, DHAs, for example, I wasn't healthy, and my fat loss certainly wasn't healthy. So make sure that when you are starting your fat loss journey, you don't get scared of fat, you don't dismiss fat completely. You need fat in your diet, especially if you're a guy. You're going to need cholesterol in your diet because cholesterol helps produce hormones, and testosterone is a hormone that's very, very important for men, especially who want to build muscle and lose body fat. The next mistake I made was doing what other people do. Okay, there's that big myth that you should find the biggest person in the gym or the fittest person in the gym and just copy what they do. Okay, and this is a big problem because I started looking at people that I wanted to be like. I started looking at professional fighters, how they train, how they ate. I started looking at bodybuilders, how they trained, how they ate. And I went straight in, gung-ho, doing what they did. And no wonder I've got so many injuries from those trainings I still suffer from today. I still remember when I first found out my coach Marcus used to wake up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning to go for a 10-mile jog. I did the same thing. I went straight in, and one day we even crossed paths and he was quite impressed that I was up so early. And I was like, yeah, you know, he's impressed by me. But the truth is, I was copying people. I wasn't doing what was right for me. I was doing what I thought was right because somebody else had done it. So it's really important that you find out what's right for you, and you might need to employ the help of a coach to understand this before you do your fat loss, weight loss, body transformation or physique journey, because you need to do what's specific for you nutritionally and from a training and lifestyle point of view so you don't mess up. Now, that brings me on to my next mistake, okay? I didn't get professional advice. It's the big myth that you can do it on your own. I know that this is not exactly a scientific myth, but there's that myth that you can do it on your own if you just drop your calories and move more. Eat less, move more. There's a lot more to it than eating less and moving more, right? So back when I first started out with my weight loss, fat loss journey, like I said, there wasn't Google, YouTube was not there. I had to rely on magazines to get my information from, Men's Health, Muscle and Fitness, and all these kind of magazines. And again, I was looking at people's diet plans, training plans, and following them. Personal training was a concept that was alien to me. Gyms were only there for rich people, okay? We didn't have the budget gyms we have today, that you have today, that you can go to. So when I went to university and I discovered the gym, I just went there and started training myself, and I just copied what I saw in the magazines. And again, I didn't get professional help. If you want to get a result that's a quality result, I implore you, find a coach. Get a personal trainer if you can afford one. If you can't, then do some research and look up good quality coaches online that have YouTube channels or that have some sort of information that you can follow, or just follow my YouTube channel, because you know what, I'm putting like loads of free content to help you guys anyway. Okay, the next myth that I want to expound that I followed was that myth that you have to go all in, okay? Again, it's not a scientific myth, but you hear it all the time. All or nothing. You've got to go all in. You've got to hustle. You've got to grind. This is what the battle cry of so many self-help and fitness gurus these days. But the truth is, going all in isn't the be-all and end-all. Going all in might actually be the worst thing for you, because it was for me. Now, I have an all-or-nothing personality. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So when I first started out with my fat loss journey, I went all in. In fact, I went so all in, I was miserable, okay? I didn't socialize because I was too afraid to go out and eat and drink. I didn't want to do anything that would take me away from my training, from my gym. So I didn't go on holidays and vacations with my family because I wanted to stay by the gym. This caused a lot of problems to me, both emotionally and physically, because I was just training too much. So make sure that you do allow yourself to chill out. You do allow yourself family time. You don't get too stressed out and too wound up on this whole idea that you have to be perfect. You don't have to look like Jeff Cavaliere of Athlean to be fit, for example. You can be fit being who you are and just working on improving yourself every day and enjoying the journey. So make sure you enjoy the journey, because that was a big mistake that I wish I didn't do when I first started out. And number 6, it relates to going all in. I trained too hard. Now, I had aspirations of becoming a professional fighter, which I fulfilled, but I trained way too hard. I didn't give myself enough adequate rest. I thought it was all about training, and I thought it was all about eating. And even though I didn't eat the right amount of foods, I was focusing on nutrition to make sure that I was getting protein, I was getting the right foods in. And I was slowly learning all of this stuff. But what I didn't realize was that recovery was as important, if not more important, to my training and physique aspirations than the training and the nutrition. So what I would do if I could go back in time is I'd give myself much more emphasis on recovery, on actual lifestyle changes, on sleep. Although sleep was very important to me and I made sure I got my 8 hours a day, I didn't optimize things like digestion. I didn't optimize things like gut health, which I would do now if I went back. So if I could go back in time and change what I did, I would definitely change those 6 things. And this is what I wanted to go through with you today so you don't make the same mistakes that I made. If I really have one wish for all of you is that you train and you exercise and you get results, but I want you to do that in a safe and scientific way so you don't pay for it later on down the line. I've got issues right now with my joints, with my health, because I just pounded myself far too hard. I remember once I was going for a jog and I had all these problems with my hips and my hips were out of alignment, and I kept training anyway. I remember once that I was kicking the heavy bag and I sprained my knee and I didn't realize I tore ligaments, so I kept going and kept training until the cartilage and ligaments gave up and I had to have surgery on my knee. So what we need to realize is you have to train smart as well as hard. You have to eat smart as well as sensibly. You have to live smart to get the results that you want. And all of this comes from acquiring the right knowledge, but the shortcut to acquiring that right knowledge is checking out coaches, whether it's to pay for them or checking out their content on social media, on the internet. You guys watching this video today are in a much more fortunate place than I was in when I first started my fat loss and weight loss journey, because you've got so much information, quality information at your fingertips through YouTube, through social media, to being able to get on the end of a very good coach through coaching sessions online, etc. Okay, so with that, I hope you liked today's video. I hope you got value from it. If you did get value from it, please subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification. I'd really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day, sweat more, suck less, and stay awesome. And remember, you'll like this playlist if you like this video. You'll also like this video, but please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Have a great day.